Forget the dramatic fireworks. Seriously, forget the mountaintop lightning strikes. When most people hear the phrase spiritual awakening, they picture, I don't know, something straight out of a movie, like a sudden magical event that completely transforms someone overnight. But what if I told you that the reality is actually a deeply logical mechanical process? Welcome to this explainer. Today we are taking a super grounded, practical look at what it actually means to awaken your spiritual potential, and we're going to completely demystify the inner machinery that makes it happen. Look, spiritual potential isn't some vague, mystical, good vibes only kind of thing. It's defined as the inherent capacity within a person to grow in awareness, character, meaning, and connection. It's a literal capacity. Think of it kind of like a walled courtyard in a historic home. From the outside, you just see a blank, boring, impenetrable wall. But inside, there's an entire living space filled with light and movement. It might be dormant to the outside observer, but it's very real. It's basically a seed, just waiting for the right conditions. So how are we going to get there? Well, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start by redefining the premise, then we'll look under the hood at the inner machinery, explore the engine of everyday life, and finally map out the feedback loop. We are totally bypassing the fluff today. Starting with Section 1, redefining the premise, uncovering what is already there. This is absolutely vital to understand. You don't invent your potential, you unblock it. It's exactly like a building's power grid. The electricity is already there in the walls, but if a circuit is overloaded, no light shows up. We aren't creating power, we're just fixing the switches. Okay, let's dive into this. When that power finally starts flowing, it doesn't happen by magic. It happens through 5 very specific mechanical inner shifts. We've got awareness, revaluing, decentering ego, inner friction, and embodied meaning. These are the actual, tangible gears turning when a person starts to grow. Moving to Section 2, the inner machinery, breaking down the abstract into the mechanical. Let's look right under the hood at the exact metaphors for how each of these 5 gears actually operates in your mind. The very first gear is awareness. Now, awareness reveals the inner world. It doesn't create anything new. It's literally like walking into a dim room and slowly turning on the lights. Nothing in that room has changed yet. The furniture is exactly the same as it was in the dark, but now you can finally see it. You stop living on autopilot because you can finally spot your own thoughts and motives as they happen. The second gear is revaluing. This is where your heart starts to classify life differently, exactly like your smartphone sorting your mobile notifications. Suddenly, shallow approval or winning a petty argument, that gets sent straight to the background on Do Not Disturb. Meanwhile, truth, kindness, sincerity, they are allowed to interrupt your attention because they've been ranked as high priority. You just literally start caring differently.
Our third shift is decentering the ego. And let's be totally clear here. The ego isn't purely evil. It genuinely helps you function and stay safe in the world. But imagine a chair leg that somehow thinks it's the entire chair. That's a terribly cramped way to live, right? The ego is just the leg. It has a role, for sure, but it isn't the whole person. When you decenter it, you finally make room for qualities like humility, courage, and compassion to pull up a seat at the table.
But wait, here's where things get really surprising. If all this amazing positive growth is happening, why does awakening often feel so incredibly uncomfortable? In fact, why does clarity often feel worse at first? Well, the answer is our 4th gear, inner friction. Awakening actively exposes your internal contradictions. You realize you deeply want peace, but you're actively feeding your own anxiety. It feels bad, but think of it like finally hearing a strange, rattling sound in your car's engine. The sound isn't a failure. It's just an audible signal that an old pattern needs attention. You just couldn't hear it over the radio before. So the crucial point is this. Awakening makes hidden tension easier to see, not easier to deny. I want to really emphasize that discomfort is not a sign that you are failing spiritually. No way. It is a profound, mechanical sign that your old, outdated system is finally visible enough to be dismantled. The 5th and final gear is embodied meaning. This is where concepts move out of abstract theories and straight into your actual muscles. It is the vast, literal difference between reading a book about swimming and physically jumping into a cold pool of water. Spiritual potential is not just a nice mental decoration. It's a real capacity that only becomes real through physical, embodied use. Section 3, the engine of everyday life, where consistency beats intensity. Because let's face it, this machinery doesn't run on rare, intense spiritual retreats. It runs on the ordinary, repetitive moments of a typical Tuesday. Let's look at how an everyday struggle actually unfolds step by step. Step 1, something triggers you. Step 2, you feel that old, familiar automatic reaction bubble up. But step 3, because your awareness gear is now turning, you actually notice the reaction. Step 4, you choose whether or not to follow it. And step 5, by not following it, a totally new possibility appears. You see the open door, but you are no longer forced to walk through it. Let's see how this builds in a real-time, highly relatable scenario. Imagine you're at work, okay? At exactly 0 seconds, a colleague quietly takes credit for your project. At 2 seconds, your ego absolutely screams, demanding you defend your image and expose them right there. But at 5 seconds, that new awareness gear creates a tiny, split-second pause. You notice the hurt without becoming it. By 10 seconds, you use that newly created space to choose an honest response, maybe just documenting the work calmly instead of exploding. That 5-second pause, that is the literal beginning of freedom. Which brings us to section 4, the feedback loop. Inner change creates outer reality. This is exactly how those small, daily repetitions permanently rewire our lived experience. And this brilliantly illustrates how inner changes inevitably produce concrete external results. As your inner awareness increases, you react less, which gives you better choices. When you revalue, you get different priorities, which leads to way less wasted energy. Less ego leads to more honesty, which inevitably creates better relationships. This completely proves that awakening isn't validated by what you say. It is mathematically revealed by how you actually begin to live. Remember, a seed doesn't become a tree because it tries really, really hard. It becomes a tree because the daily environment, the soil, the water, the sunlight, simply allows its nature to unfold. Your ordinary, everyday, perfectly imperfect life is the exact environment where the seed of your potential is nourished. Ultimately, bringing this all together, the core truth is this. Spiritual awakening is not about escaping life. It is about meeting life with greater awareness, cleaner values, and a freer heart. It's really not about being perfect. It's just about being more real today than you were yesterday. So I want to leave you with a challenge today as you look at your own inner machinery. What daily pattern is actively helping your awakening grow, and what daily pattern is keeping it hidden behind that walled courtyard? Take a really close look at your habits today and see if you can find that 5-second pause. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep uncovering what's already there.